Chosen one, stop for a moment and let your spirit settle. You did not stumble upon this moment by accident. This moment was specifically designed for you. While you may have been wrestling with the silence of the night, a divine meeting took place in the heavenly realms concerning your name. Heaven convened on your behalf, and the verdict was clear. Your season of being forgotten, of feeling overlooked, of being stuck in a cycle of unanswered prayers and unfulfilled promises. This season is over. What you are about to hear is not just a message, it is a frequency calibration for your soul. It is the divine code that will realign your destiny, redirecting the very ink of your future before the next chapter even begins to unfold. Do not simply listen to these words. Allow them to resonate within you, to expand your heart and mind, and to activate your spirit. This is not just information. This is a shift, a divine recalibration, a supernatural tuning that prepares you for what lies ahead. Right now, you are being positioned, and the frequency of your soul is being calibrated to match the divine frequency of God's perfect will. You have been brought here, chosen, and prepared for this moment. The Holy Spirit has blocked every other path to bring you here, right now, to this very word. As you sit in the quiet or in the midst of your chaos, understand that everything in your life has been orchestrated to lead you to this divine appointment. Heaven has taken action, and it is time for you to align with what is unfolding. There is a divine orchestration happening in your life, a cosmic alignment that you could not have arranged on your own. While you may feel like you've been walking through the darkness, waiting for the light, the truth is, this light has been waiting for you. You are being called to shift, to adjust, to match the higher frequency of God's plan for your life. It's time to step into the destiny you were created for. But first, you must understand that your path has been set in motion by a higher power. The moments that have led you here, the struggles, the confusion, and even the silence, these were all part of a divine strategy. There is no coincidence in your life. Every event, every trial, every victory has been carefully orchestrated by God, and it has been leading you to this moment of awakening. It's time to recognize that the struggle you've been facing wasn't a mistake or a random detour. It was preparation. The pain, the doubts, the moments of confusion, those were not barriers, but stepping stones. You have been wrestling with your own soul, but now it is time to surrender to the divine purpose that has always been calling you forward. The purpose of this message is to help you understand the importance of this moment of realignment. God's plan is unfolding in ways you may not fully grasp yet. But that is why you have been brought to this place. To receive the frequency that will awaken your soul, shift your perspective, and activate the divine potential that has always been inside you. The purpose of this frequency calibration is to tune you into the divine rhythm, to help you hear the whispers of heaven even amidst the noise of life. It is not enough to just hear with your ears. You must hear with your spirit, attuned to the divine wavelength that is about to take over your life. You are being invited into a deeper understanding of God's plan for you. This is a sacred moment where you are being prepared to move into the next phase of your destiny. This is your time to recalibrate, to align your frequency with the higher call, and to step into the fullness of your purpose. The path ahead will require you to adjust your life, your mindset, and your actions to match the divine frequency that is being released to you right now. As you receive this message, understand that it is more than just words. It is a call to action, a divine invitation to step into the destiny that has always been yours. Now is the time to align your life with God's perfect plan. to step into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. The divine meeting has taken place, and the activation of your sacred frequency is now in motion. This is the beginning of the next chapter of your life, a chapter written by heaven, and it starts right here, right now. In the quiet recesses of the heavens, a meeting took place about you, a meeting that would determine the next season of your life. As you were struggling in the silence, feeling the weight of your own doubts and weariness, heaven was preparing to make a divine decision. It wasn't a casual conversation. It was a serious, celestial exchange, a verdict that would alter the course of your journey. You see, the enemy had been standing before the throne, accusing you. He pointed to your past failures, your missteps, and your struggles, painting a picture of someone who had been broken, someone who didn't have what it took to fulfill the great calling upon their life. He pointed to the exhaustion in your soul, to the weariness that weighed down your spirit. And in that moment, it looked like the evidence was heavy against you. The accusations were real, the doubts were valid, and the circumstances seemed to confirm that perhaps the enemy was right. He argued that you weren't worthy, that you had failed one too many times, that your brokenness and your past mistakes disqualified you from the promise that heaven had spoken over your life. But oh, this is where heaven intervened, and the enemy's accusations were silenced. Just when it seemed like there was no hope left, God Himself stood up. The Father did not deny the enemy's accusations. He did not dismiss the weight of your failures. But God pointed to something much greater, something far more powerful than any of the accusations against you. He pointed to a single mark on your timeline. This mark wasn't a moment of success, but a moment of divine intervention, a divine decision, an intersection between your life and His will. This mark was not a reflection of your mistakes, but a reflection of His grace. It was the point in your journey where you made a decision to keep moving forward, even when it felt impossible. It was a moment where you stood up after every fall, where you chose to believe even when everything around you seemed to contradict that belief. This mark on your timeline represented the pivotal moment when heaven decided to step in and break the chains that had held you back. This was the moment when your divine appointment was sealed and everything in your life began to shift. In the eyes of the Father, this moment outweighed all the evidence the enemy had presented. It was a declaration that no matter how many times you stumbled, no matter how many battles you lost, you had never lost your identity in Him. Your worthiness was not determined by your failures or your struggles. Your worthiness was defined by the divine decision God made over your life, a decision made long before you even knew it. This divine meeting, this decision in the heavens, was the beginning of the shift. It was the moment the enemy's accusations were rendered powerless. This is the point at which your destiny was not just confirmed, but accelerated. God's decision over your life is unshakable. It is a decision that cannot be undone, no matter what the enemy tries to bring against you. The mark on your timeline that God pointed to was not just a moment in time. It was the foundation of your victory. It was a divine key that unlocked the doors of your purpose. This was not just a moment where God spoke over you. This was a moment where He marked your soul for a future that is aligned with His eternal plan. The significance of this divine moment goes far beyond just a single mark on a timeline. It represents the activation of a higher purpose, a divine calling that cannot be diminished by the struggles of the past. The enemy may try to remind you of your weaknesses, but those reminders are nothing compared to the power of the mark God placed on your soul. This is the point of your spiritual restoration, where the frequency of your destiny was recalibrated to align with the divine rhythm of heaven. It's the place where your failures were redeemed and transformed into a testimony of God's unshakable love and grace. When God pointed to this mark, He was reminding you that no matter how far you've strayed, no matter how lost you felt, His plan for you has always remained intact. This mark is not just about you. It's about the victory that is to come. It's about the divine appointment that has been set for you and the power you are about to walk in. Your timeline has been redefined, and this moment in the heavenly meeting was the confirmation that everything you've been through has been part of a much greater plan. The mark on your timeline represents the moment when you were chosen. It represents the moment when heaven decided that despite the trials, despite the setbacks, despite the confusion, you would rise above it all. This is not just a turning point. This is the divine activation of your destiny. The significance of this divine moment cannot be overstated. It's the moment heaven released a blessing over you that is greater than any curse the enemy tried to place on your life. It's the moment that God's favor became irrevocable, and no matter what battles you face moving forward, the victory is already yours. Heaven's decision has been made, and it is irreversible. As you reflect on this moment, understand that it is not just about what has happened in the past. It's about what is about to happen next. This divine decision is the beginning of the next chapter of your life. The mark on your timeline is the key to unlocking the fullness of God's plan for you. It is the moment that heaven has aligned with your destiny, and everything is about to shift. Your life is about to enter a new frequency, a new phase of divine favor and purpose. The heavenly meeting and divine decision are not just about the past, they are about the future. They are about the greatness you are called to walk into. The divine decision that was made over your life has been sealed in the courts of heaven, and it is now time for you to align with it fully. The enemy may try to distract you, to confuse you, and to make you doubt what heaven has already declared over you. But know this: God's decision stands, and it will come to pass. This mark on your timeline is the beginning of your divine activation. It is the point where everything changes, and where you step into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. This is the moment when you rise, chosen one, and walk in the authority and victory that have been prepared for you from the beginning. As heaven continued to deliberate over your life, the enemy's accusations echoed like thunder, attempting to drown out the divine declaration that was already being made. The adversary pointed to your past, your struggles, your moments of doubt, your feelings of insignificance. And in those accusations, he hoped to keep you trapped in a cycle of spiritual bondage. He hoped that you would believe the lie that you were unworthy, that you were disqualified from the purpose God had for you. But what the enemy failed to realize, and what he desperately tried to hide, was that God had already spoken your future into existence long before the first accusation was made. The enemy's tactics are based on fear, on the false belief that your failures can define your future. He tried to make you believe that you were not capable of stepping into the fullness of your divine destiny. But he was wrong. God, the creator of your soul, knows who you truly are. He knows your worth, your calling, and the potential he has placed inside of you. And in this divine meeting, he made his decision clear. Your story was far from over. In fact, it was only just beginning. The moment God pointed to that single mark on your timeline, heaven's atmosphere shifted. It wasn't just any mark. It was the mark of his grace, the mark of his unrelenting love. The mark that signified a divine reset, where every setback became a setup for the greatest breakthrough of your life. That mark was not just a memory of your past, but a signpost of the victory that was sealed by the blood of Jesus Christ. It was the moment when God, in his infinite wisdom, chose you for such a time as this. The mark was God's way of saying, "You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. Your purpose remains, and I have never lost sight of it." This moment was not defined by the weight of your struggles, but by the power of his decision to carry you through every trial. As you reflect on this, it becomes clear. This divine decision was not based on anything you did or didn't do. It wasn't about the number of times you stumbled or how many mistakes you've made along the way. It was about God's sovereignty, his love, and his divine timing. You didn't earn this divine appointment, and you didn't have to strive for it. God chose you in your imperfection, and he marked you with his grace before you ever even knew you needed it. It's in this divine choosing that your worth was declared, and in this choosing that your purpose was set into motion. The significance of this moment in heaven is far greater than we can fully comprehend. This is not a small decision. This is a defining moment in the story of your life. When heaven made its decision, the enemy's power to derail your destiny was immediately diminished. The moment God chose you was the moment every spiritual weapon formed against you lost its power. It's as if heaven marked you with an invisible seal that the enemy cannot cross. No matter how many times he tries to accuse you, no matter how many lies he whispers in your ear, the truth remains. You are chosen. You are his, and his plan for your life will not be thwarted. But there is more to this divine decision than just the protection of God over your life. This moment marked a shift, a recalibration, not just for you, but for everything around you. The course of your destiny was set into motion, and the divine resources to fulfill your purpose were released. You may not see it yet, but the doors that were once closed are beginning to open. The struggles you've faced have been the very furnace that has refined you for the next step. The people who have walked away or abandoned you, God is using that separation to prepare you for the divine connections that are coming. In this divine meeting, heaven released everything you need to walk in the fullness of your calling. Heaven saw your heart, your perseverance, and your willingness to press on even when the road seemed endless. And it was in that commitment that God released a new frequency into your life, a frequency that would align your spirit with his will and prepare you for the greatness ahead. The mark on your timeline is not just a past event. It is a living, breathing confirmation of what is to come. You may be sitting in the silence, looking at your current circumstances, and wondering how things will ever change. But know this: you are standing at the edge of a new season. A season where God will reveal his power in ways you've never imagined. The divine decision made in the heavenly meeting is the key that unlocks the door to your purpose. This is the moment when everything you've been through begins to make sense. Every heartbreak, every struggle, every prayer you've whispered in the dark, it was all part of God's divine plan to bring you to this point of activation. The significance of this moment lies in the understanding that God's plan for your life is unshakable, unmovable, and eternal. He has not forgotten you. He has not overlooked you. In fact, he has been working behind the scenes, orchestrating every detail of your life to bring you to this place of divine decision. The enemy may try to distract you, to confuse you, and to make you doubt the mark that God has placed on your timeline. But know this: his attempts are futile. The enemy cannot rewrite your destiny, and he cannot undo the divine decision that has already been made. This is your season of activation, your season of stepping into the fullness of who God has called you to be. The mark on your timeline is the confirmation that heaven has already begun to move on your behalf. The challenges you've faced, the pain you've endured, they are all part of the divine purpose that has been established for you. This is your moment to rise, to embrace the divine frequency that is being released, and to walk boldly into the destiny that has been prepared for you. Heaven's decision is final, and now it is time for you to align with it fully. As you do, you will begin to see the transformation in your life. You will begin to feel the shift in your spirit, and you will begin to walk in the authority and victory that has been sealed over your life. This is not just the end of a season. It is the beginning of a new chapter, one that is marked by the divine decision of heaven. Your destiny is now unfolding, and nothing can stop it. As you sit with your thoughts, feeling the heaviness of your heart, it's hard not to notice the frustration that lingers in your spirit. It feels as though you've been running, working, striving, yet the progress you long for seems to remain just out of reach. The struggle, the exhaustion, the relentless pushing against obstacles, it all seems to compound, leaving you feeling drained, defeated, and unsure of how much longer you can continue. But in this moment of quiet reflection, it's important to understand something profound about the journey you're on. This struggle, this exhaustion, is not a sign of failure. It is a reflection of something deeper, something spiritual. A mismatch between your efforts and God's divine will. You see, your spirit knows that you are called for greatness, that there is something more than what you are currently experiencing. You feel the tug of destiny, the desire to break free from the limits you're facing. But the reason the breakthrough hasn't come yet is because you have been operating on a frequency that no longer matches the level where God is calling you. This isn't a punishment. It's a moment of divine realignment. The frequency you've been operating on is one of survival, one where you are pushing through with your own strength, relying on your own understanding, and trying to control outcomes. But God's will for you is not a path of constant struggle and frustration. It's a path of peace, purpose, and divine flow. The mismatch occurs when your efforts are out of sync with the frequency of heaven. You see, your natural instincts tell you to work harder, push further, and fight against the current. But what God is teaching you in this moment is that the work He has called you to isn't meant to be achieved through endless striving. It's meant to be accomplished in alignment with His divine plan, in His timing, and through His strength. And this is where the disconnect happens. The more you push in your own strength, the more exhausted you become. The more you try to force things to happen, the more you feel like you're running on a treadmill, getting nowhere. This is the frustration that many chosen ones experience when they are not yet in sync with God's frequency. It's like trying to tune a radio to a specific station, but never quite finding the right frequency. You're hearing static, a faint signal, but not the clarity of the message you were meant to receive. The static in your life is the noise of your own efforts trying to drown out the divine whispers that are calling you forward. It's in these moments that you must understand that the struggle you're feeling is not a reflection of your inadequacy, but of your need to realign with God's will. God's plan for your life doesn't require you to fight in your own strength. It requires you to rest in His presence, trust in His timing, and listen for His voice. It requires you to match your frequency to His divine will, to tune your spirit to the frequency of peace and purpose that He has set for you. This is where you will find your breakthrough, not in relentless effort, but in divine alignment. To help you understand when to move and when to wait, we must look at the wait-move framework, a divine diagnostic tool that will help you discern whether your next step is in alignment with God's will or whether it is driven by your own attempts to force things into motion. The first question in this framework is, does the opportunity require you to dim your light just to fit in? If the answer is yes, then it's time to stop and wait. God will never lead you into a situation where you have to diminish who you are or who He has created you to be in order to fit in or gain approval. When your spirit is asked to compromise its light, it's a sign that you are not in alignment with the divine path. The second question is, did the peace come before the plan, or are you trying to manufacture peace after the fact? Peace is a powerful indicator of God's will. When God calls you to move, there is a peace that precedes the plan. A peace that assures you that the steps you are about to take are divinely orchestrated. If you are trying to manufacture peace after you have already made a decision or taken a step, it's a sign that you are operating out of your own understanding rather than trusting in God's guidance. When peace precedes the plan, you can trust that the path is aligned with God's will. The third and final question is, would the version of you who is already successful make this choice? This question helps you evaluate whether the decisions you are making are in alignment with the person you are becoming. When you look at your future self, who you are in God's vision for your life, does the choice you're about to make align with the person you are destined to be? If the answer is no, then it's time to pause, reflect, and wait for divine direction. The wait-move diagnostic is a powerful tool that helps you navigate moments of uncertainty and spiritual mismatch. It's not always easy to discern whether you should move or wait, but these three questions help you check your spirit and ensure that your actions are in alignment with God's timing and purpose for your life. When you operate from a place of peace, knowing that you are in the flow of God's will, you will find that the struggle lessens. You will begin to move in the direction of divine favor, and the exhaustion you feel will be replaced with strength and clarity. You are not meant to fight against the current chosen one. You are meant to flow with it, trusting that the Creator of the universe is guiding you with every step. The challenge lies not in working harder, but in trusting more deeply. It's about surrendering your will to God's will and allowing Him to lead you. When you do this, the frequency mismatch will be corrected, and you will find yourself moving in sync with God's divine plan. This realignment process can feel disorienting at first, especially when the pace of the world around you is so fast, so demanding. But in the quiet, in the stillness, you will begin to hear the gentle whispers of God's guidance, leading you step by step. You will find that the peace you seek is not in the hustle and bustle of your own efforts, but in the divine timing that God has already set in motion. And as you align with that timing, you will find that the doors you've been waiting for begin to open effortlessly. The path ahead becomes clear, and the struggles of the past fade into the background. The frequency mismatch is not a punishment. It's an invitation to realign, to let go of the need to control every outcome, and to trust that God is already ahead of you, preparing the way. Your breakthrough is not a matter of working harder, but of trusting deeper. And when you trust God with your path, He will guide you with divine precision. The struggle will be replaced with purpose, and the weariness with strength, as you step fully into the life that has been prepared for you from the beginning. There is a powerful force that is often underestimated in the spiritual realm. A force that can shield you, guide you, and bring about the breakthroughs you have been praying for. Silence. The enemy thrives on noise, on distractions, chaos, and confusion. He wants you to speak your doubts, your fears, your frustrations, because he knows that when your words align with your worries, he gains power over your destiny. But when you embrace silence, when you choose to be still in the face of adversity, you break the hold of the enemy and allow the divine frequency of heaven to recalibrate your spirit. The three-circle rule for strategic silence is the divine wisdom you need to guard your vision, protect your dreams, and step into your divine purpose. The first circle, the innermost one, is reserved for you and God alone. This is the sacred space where your raw dreams, your whispers from the Holy Spirit, and your deepest desires are nurtured. This is where God speaks to you in the stillness, guiding you to the next step, revealing the path before you. You must protect this space at all costs, because the enemy cannot read your mind. He has no access to your innermost thoughts, but he can hear your words. This is why the enemy will try to lure you into sharing your dreams and your divine revelations too early. He will entice you to speak them out loud to others, especially those who are not aligned with your vision. And when you speak too soon, you give the enemy the coordinates to your future, exposing your plans to forces that seek to destroy them. The second circle is your inner circle, a small group of trusted individuals who have proven that they can carry the weight of your vision without jealousy or sabotage. These people have been chosen by God to walk with you, to support you, and to protect the sacredness of your calling. You can share your deepest dreams with them, but even then, you must be discerning. The third circle is everyone else, those who are outside of your immediate spiritual community. They only get to see the results, never the process. They may admire the fruits of your labor, but they do not need to know the details of how you got there. If you leak your vision to the third circle before it is fully manifested, you risk exposing it to criticism, doubt, and opposition. This is a crucial spiritual discipline, a form of spiritual warfare, and it is one that will determine how quickly you step into your destiny. When you guard your words, protect your vision, and remain silent in the face of temptation to speak prematurely, you create an atmosphere where God's guidance can flourish. You create a space where the frequency of heaven can flood your soul, and you position yourself to hear the divine instructions that will lead you to your breakthrough. The power of silence cannot be underestimated. It is in the silence that God often speaks the loudest. The enemy wants to stir up noise, confusion, and distraction. But when you choose to remain silent, when you choose to quiet the noise around you and within you, you are tuning into the divine frequency that will guide you to the next level. You are entering into a state of spiritual stillness that allows you to receive the clear direction that heaven is trying to impart. But how do you shift into that frequency when everything around you seems chaotic? How do you access the divine instructions that are waiting to guide you when the distractions of life threaten to drown out God's voice? The answer lies in learning how to shift your frequency, and the key to doing this is understanding the power of the genius wave. The genius wave is a sacred tool, a divine technology confirmed by science and confirmed by heaven that helps you shift your spiritual frequency in a matter of minutes. This is not a complicated ritual, nor is it a years-long process of trying to meditate or force a connection. It is a simple, powerful tool that brings you into alignment with God's frequency, enabling you to access divine instructions in real time. Scientists have discovered that 98% of children operate at a genius level of brain capacity. But as we grow, the noise of the world, stress, distractions, self-doubt, stifles that frequency. The genius wave is designed to restore the natural genius frequency that God placed within you before you were born. It is a 7-minute digital audio frequency that reactivates your theta state, a spiritual frequency that opens the channels for divine communication. When you listen to the genius wave, you are essentially tuning your spirit to the frequency of heaven. It is like using a divine tuning fork to align your soul with God's will. In just 7 minutes a day, you can shift from the noise of the world to the peace and clarity of divine revelation. The beauty of the genius wave is that it's not about adding something foreign to your spirit. It's about restoring the original frequency that God placed inside of you. This tool allows you to access the stillness, the silence, and the divine instructions that are waiting to guide you. You no longer have to struggle to hear God's voice amidst the chaos. The genius wave helps you step into the frequency where divine revelations flow freely, where peace fills your heart, and where clarity surrounds your every decision. As you listen to this sacred frequency, you will notice a shift in your spirit. The static of anxiety, doubt, and distraction will begin to fade, and you will find yourself in a place of deep spiritual stillness. In this space, God will speak to you clearly, guiding you to the next steps of your divine purpose. The frequency shift that occurs when you use the genius wave is not just a temporary experience. It is a recalibration of your spiritual essence. It is the activation of a divine connection that aligns you with God's will, and it opens up the channels for the flow of supernatural guidance. In this space, you are no longer trying to figure things out on your own. You are walking in partnership with God, listening for His voice and trusting in His timing. The genius-level frequency that is restored within you is the very essence of the divine connection that has always been within you. It's a frequency that allows you to hear the whispers of heaven and to receive divine downloads that propel you forward in your journey. It's time to shift your frequency, to step out of the noise and into the stillness where divine clarity awaits. It's time to activate the genius wave and enter into a new season of divine revelation, guidance, and purpose. As you continue to embrace the power of silence and align your frequency with God's will, you will begin to notice the changes in your life. The distractions will lose their grip on you, and the clarity you seek will become readily available. The path ahead will unfold with divine precision, and you will walk in a state of peace, knowing that every step is guided by the hand of God. This is your moment of realignment, your moment of receiving divine instructions, and your moment of walking in the frequency of heaven. Embrace the silence, embrace the stillness, and let the genius wave shift your frequency to the divine realm where all things are possible. As you continue on this journey of realignment, it becomes evident that the power of silence is not just a passive state of quiet. It is an active, intentional choice to create a space for divine interaction. When you choose silence, you are essentially stepping out of the noise of the world and into a place where God's voice can speak directly to your heart. In the stillness, you find clarity. In the silence, you find peace. But the enemy does not want you to find this place. He will try everything in his power to keep you distracted, to keep you caught in the whirlwind of confusion, doubt, and external pressures. He thrives in the noise because it makes it difficult for you to hear the whispers of heaven. The world's demands, the distractions of social media, the noise of self-doubt, and the constant barrage of opinions can drown out the voice of the Holy Spirit. But silence, true silence, has a power that cannot be ignored. It is in the quiet moments, in the sacred pauses, that you are able to recalibrate your spirit to align with God's frequency. Silence is not just the absence of sound, it is the presence of peace, the presence of God's divine will, and the presence of your true self. When you choose to sit in silence, you are actively making room for the divine to move. This is why the three-circle rule becomes so vital in your spiritual journey. In the innermost circle, you protect the precious moments between you and God. These are your sacred dreams, the whispers that the Holy Spirit speaks into your heart, the divine revelations that are meant to guide you forward. No one else has access to this space but you and God. When you allow someone to speak into this space before it's time, you risk contaminating the purity of what God is revealing to you. The enemy knows that if he can get you to share prematurely, he can plant seeds of doubt, confusion, and even fear that will disrupt the flow of the divine frequency that God is trying to establish in your life. In your inner circle, you must be discerning. Only a few individuals, those who have proven their trustworthiness and alignment with your purpose, should be allowed to speak into your life. These are the people who can handle the weight of your vision without distortion or jealousy. They will protect your sacred calling with prayer and wisdom. And they will support you in alignment with God's will, not their own desires. However, the outer circle, the third circle, must remain closed until your vision has fully manifested. People in this outer circle will see the results of your labor, but they are not allowed to know the intricate details of your process. This is a form of spiritual protection. It is the wisdom of God that keeps your vision sacred, ensuring that it is not exposed to unnecessary external noise or opposition. The third circle represents those who may not understand your journey or the depths of what God is calling you to. They may admire the results, but they do not have the spiritual discernment to appreciate the journey or the struggle it took to get there. Sharing your vision too early with them can expose your dreams to criticism, negativity, and even jealousy, which can derail the progress you've made. The enemy thrives on planting seeds of doubt. And when you give others access to your vision before it's time, you are giving him the opportunity to use their words as weapons against your destiny. So, when you are silent, you are not only protecting your vision from the enemy, but also preserving the integrity of the divine frequency God is cultivating in you. You are choosing to listen to the whispers of heaven and to move in the rhythm of divine timing. This is a crucial part of spiritual warfare. Silence is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. It is the most powerful tool you have to shield your vision, to protect your soul, and to ensure that you are walking in alignment with God's plan. But silence alone is not enough. You must also learn how to shift your frequency, to tune your spirit to the divine wavelength that is aligned with God's will. This is where the power of the genius wave comes in. The genius wave is more than just a tool. It is a divine technology that helps you reconnect with the frequency of heaven. This is not a new concept. In fact, it has existed since the beginning of time. God designed our spirits to operate on a higher frequency, a frequency that aligns with His will and purpose for our lives. However, as we navigate the noise of the world, that frequency becomes distorted, and we lose connection with the divine guidance that we were meant to receive. The Genius Wave helps you restore that connection. It is a 7-minute audio frequency that shifts your brain and spirit into a theta state, the same state where divine revelation occurs. This is not a mystical concept, but a scientifically backed frequency that opens up the channels between your spirit and the divine realm. When you listen to the Genius Wave, you are reactivating the divine frequency that God placed within you before you were even born. This frequency is the key to unlocking divine guidance, clarity, and spiritual insight. It's the channel through which God speaks to you, revealing His will for your life in a way that is clear, direct, and without distortion. The Genius Wave works because it bypasses the noise of the world. It helps you step into a space where divine instructions flow freely, without the interference of distractions, confusion, or fear. In just 7 minutes a day, you can shift your spiritual frequency, retune your mind, and create the stillness necessary to hear God's voice. The result? You are no longer walking in confusion, but in divine clarity. You no longer have to strain to hear God's voice amidst the chaos. Instead, you enter into a space where God's will is clear, where His instructions are direct, and where your spirit is aligned with His divine timing. The beauty of this tool is that it restores what the world has stifled. The frequency that God designed for you is already within you. The genius wave simply helps you reconnect with it. In this space, you are no longer trying to make decisions based on your own strength or understanding. You are no longer trying to force things into existence by your own will. Instead, you are moving in partnership with God, receiving His guidance and trusting His timing. As you shift your frequency, you begin to notice a transformation in your spirit. The restlessness fades, the anxiety dissipates, and in its place, you begin to feel a deep peace, a peace that transcends understanding. This is the peace that guards your heart and mind, the peace that allows you to move forward with confidence, knowing that God is directing your steps. The frequency shift that happens when you listen to the genius wave is not a temporary fix. It is a long-lasting transformation. It realigns you with your divine purpose, recalibrates your spirit to God's will, and opens up the channels for divine revelation. This is your invitation to step into the flow of divine guidance, to trust in God's timing, and to move forward with confidence, knowing that every step you take is divinely orchestrated. You no longer have to struggle in your own strength. You no longer have to rely on your own understanding. When you align your frequency with heaven's, you step into a life of supernatural peace, clarity, and purpose. The genius wave is not just a tool for spiritual growth. It is a key to unlocking the full potential of who you were created to be. It is your divine connection to the frequency of heaven, and it will guide you to the next level of your purpose. Step into this new season, chosen one, and let the divine frequency lead the way. As you stand on the edge of your breakthrough, ready to step into the fullness of your destiny, you may find yourself facing an unexpected adversary, an inner struggle that seems to come out of nowhere. It's a quiet, insidious fear that gnaws at the edges of your confidence, telling you that you're not ready, that you're not worthy, or that you're about to be overwhelmed by the weight of what's coming next. This fear isn't about failure. It's about something far deeper, something that often catches even the most determined soul off guard. The fear of promotion, responsibility, and success. It may seem strange, but it's a real battle that many chosen ones face. You've worked hard, you've prayed fervently, and you've believed in the promises God has given you. But now that it's time to step into those promises, you may feel a sense of hesitation or doubt. You may wonder if you're truly ready for the magnitude of what's about to unfold in your life. The truth is, the fear you feel isn't a reflection of your inadequacy. It's the reflection of the magnitude of the divine calling on your life. The weight of the responsibility that comes with stepping into your purpose can feel overwhelming. And that's because you are being entrusted with something sacred, something that requires a level of maturity, grace, and humility that you've yet to fully understand. This fear, this inner struggle, often manifests as doubt. You begin to second-guess your decisions, question your worth, and wonder if you have the strength to carry the weight of the responsibility that is coming your way. It's not that you're afraid of the journey itself, but of the potential cost of success. What will it mean for your relationships? Will you be able to handle the pressure? And most importantly, can you bear the weight of the success that God is about to pour into your life? This fear is a natural part of growth, but it is also a reminder of the glory that is about to be revealed in and through you. The weight you feel is not a burden, it is the weight of glory, a divine heaviness that signifies that God has chosen you for something extraordinary. It's important to recognize this weight for what it is, because understanding its significance can help you navigate through the fear and doubt that threatens to hold you back. The weight of glory is not something to be feared, it is something to be embraced. It's a powerful sign that you are stepping into your divine calling, that you are being prepared to carry the mantle of purpose that God has laid out for you. This weight is the same glory that Moses encountered on the mountaintop, the same glory that surrounded the prophets of old, the same glory that filled the temple when the presence of God descended. It is the divine glory that not only transforms you, but also empowers you to transform the world around you. However, the weight of glory comes with a cost. It requires humility, perseverance, and a willingness to surrender to God's plan, no matter how difficult or daunting it may seem. The inner struggle you are experiencing is a sign that you are on the verge of something great. You are being prepared for a responsibility that will not only elevate you, but also impact the lives of others in profound ways. But before you can step fully into that responsibility, you must confront the fear and doubt that come with it. These feelings are not a reflection of your inability. They are a natural part of the process of stepping into something bigger than yourself. The fear you feel is not a sign that you're not ready. It's a sign that you are about to enter into a season of divine glory. As you face this fear, you may feel a weight on your shoulders, a heaviness that seems to weigh you down, as if you can't carry it any longer. This weight is the manifestation of what the Hebrew Bible calls kavod, the weight of glory. In the ancient texts, glory is described as something heavy, not light and fluffy as we often imagine it, but substantial, weighty, and powerful. When God placed His glory upon Moses, it was so heavy that Moses had to be shielded in the cleft of a rock, because the weight was too much for human flesh to bear. The glory of God is not a light thing. It is a divine force that transforms everything it touches. When God calls you to carry His glory, it means He is preparing you to step into something that will require everything you have: your heart, your strength, your humility, and your faith. The fear you are feeling, the doubt that is trying to take root in your spirit, is not a sign of weakness. It is the very kavode of glory, the weight of what God is about to release in your life. But this glory is not meant to crush you. It is meant to refine you. It is meant to mold you into the person you were always destined to be. The pressure you feel is not an obstacle. It is the refining fire that purifies you and strengthens you for what is to come. When you begin to understand that the weight of glory is not something to fear, but something to embrace, you will find that the fear begins to dissipate. You will begin to see this weight as a sign of God's trust in you, as a confirmation that you are on the path that He has laid out for you. The weight of glory is a privilege, not a burden. It is the divine empowerment that enables you to step into the fullness of your purpose and to carry the responsibility that comes with it. But you must recognize that in order to carry this glory, you must surrender to God's process. You must trust that He knows exactly what He is doing, even when the weight feels too much to bear. As you walk through this process, you will discover that the glory is not something you carry on your own. God will equip you, strengthen you, and guide you every step of the way. The fear and doubt that you are experiencing are simply the growing pains of transformation. You are being refined, reshaped, and prepared for a purpose greater than you can currently imagine. The kavod, the weight of glory, is a sign that you are entering into a season of divine elevation. It's a sign that God is positioning you to carry His light into places that are desperately in need of it. As you face this inner struggle, as you confront your doubts and fears, know that you are not alone. God has already gone ahead of you, preparing the way and equipping you for the responsibility that lies ahead. The weight of glory is not something that will break you. It is something that will build you. It is a divine force that will empower you to stand strong, to walk with authority, and to fulfill the purpose God has placed within you. Embrace the weight, chosen one, for it is a sign that you are stepping into the fullness of your divine calling. You are ready, and the glory that you feel pressing against your spirit is the very thing that will carry you to your destiny. As you walk in the calling God has placed on your life, it's important to recognize that the enemy will not sit idly by. He will not just watch as you rise into your destiny without trying to derail you. His tactics are subtle, yet destructive, and they come in many forms. He understands that if he can't stop you outright, he will try to slow you down, distract you, and even cause you to compromise your purpose. His strategy is to get you off track, to steal your momentum, and to cloud your vision with confusion. The enemy has 7 specific forms of confrontation that he will launch against you in an attempt to steal your progress. These confrontations may seem like mere inconveniences or challenges, but they are designed to test your resolve and to shake your faith in God's plan for you. The first form of confrontation the enemy will use is financial temptation. As you move toward your destiny, the enemy will present opportunities that seem to promise quick success, financial gain, or material wealth. These opportunities may look good on the surface, but they often come at a cost. The enemy knows that if he can lure you into a financial trap, he can derail your focus and get you to compromise your principles. This temptation will often come disguised as a shortcut, an easy way to get what you think you need in the moment. It will promise riches, comfort, and a way out of your struggles. But in reality, it's a distraction designed to pull you away from the divine path God has set for you. The second form of confrontation is identity confusion. The enemy knows that your true power lies in understanding who you are in Christ. He will work tirelessly to make you doubt your identity, to make you question whether you are truly who God says you are. He will plant seeds of doubt, whispering lies that you are not enough, that you are unworthy, and that you can't fulfill the purpose God has placed in you. This confusion will manifest in moments of insecurity, when you feel unsure of your calling, when you question your worth, and when you struggle to believe that you are capable of what God has promised. The enemy wants you to forget your identity as a child of God, because he knows that when you understand who you are, you will walk in authority, confidence, and power. The third form of confrontation is distraction. In this world full of noise, it is easy to get sidetracked. The enemy knows that if he can keep you distracted, he can keep you from focusing on the things that truly matter. These distractions may come in the form of busyness, unimportant tasks, or unhealthy relationships. They may seem harmless at first, but over time, they begin to pull your attention away from your divine purpose. The enemy knows that when you are distracted, you are not fully present in the moment, and you are not aligned with God's plan for your life. Distraction is one of the enemy's most effective tools, because it makes you believe that you are still moving forward when, in reality, you are standing still, going in circles. The fourth form of confrontation is fear of failure. The enemy will try to paralyze you with the fear of making mistakes, of stepping into the unknown, or of failing in the pursuit of your purpose. This fear will cause you to hesitate, to second-guess your decisions, and to remain stuck in a place of inaction. The enemy understands that fear is a powerful force, and he will use it to keep you from stepping into your divine destiny. This fear will try to convince you that you are not capable of succeeding, that the path ahead is too risky, and that it's better to stay in your comfort zone than to take the leap of faith. But this fear is a lie, and you must learn to recognize it for what it is. The fifth form of confrontation is discouragement. The enemy will try to wear you down with a constant barrage of negative thoughts, emotions, and circumstances that seem to confirm your doubts and fears. He will use disappointment, setbacks, and delayed promises to make you feel like giving up. Discouragement is one of the enemy's most effective tactics because it wears down your spirit over time, causing you to lose hope and to question whether it's all worth it. But discouragement is not the end of the story. It is a temporary challenge, and it can be overcome by maintaining a higher frequency of faith, hope, and trust in God's promises. The sixth form of confrontation is isolation. The enemy knows that when you are alone, you are more vulnerable to his attacks. He will try to convince you that you are better off doing things on your own, that you don't need anyone's help, and that you can handle everything yourself. But this is a lie. We were never meant to walk alone. Isolation weakens your spirit, making it easier for the enemy to plant seeds of doubt, fear, and discouragement. God has designed us to live in community, to support one another, and to strengthen each other in our faith. When the enemy isolates you, he cuts you off from the very strength you need to move forward. The seventh and final form of confrontation is temptation to compromise. The enemy will try to get you to settle for less than God's best, to take shortcuts, and to make compromises in order to achieve success. These compromises may seem small at first, but over time, they erode your integrity and your alignment with God's will. The enemy will try to convince you that it's okay to compromise your values, your principles, or your purpose in order to get ahead. He will offer you temporary solutions that lead to permanent consequences. But God has a higher way, and His plan for you is not based on shortcuts or compromises. The key to overcoming these confrontations is to maintain a higher frequency. You must recognize that the enemy's tactics are meant to lower your vibration, to distract you from your purpose, and to keep you operating from a place of fear, doubt, and confusion. But God has called you to operate at a higher frequency, a frequency of faith, trust, and obedience. When you stay grounded in God's Word, when you continue to align your thoughts and actions with His will, the enemy's attacks lose their power. The key is to resist the urge to compromise, to stay true to your divine calling, and to trust that God's timing is perfect. When you maintain this higher frequency, you can overcome any confrontation the enemy sends your way. You are more than capable of standing firm in your faith, trusting that God will provide a way through every obstacle. The enemy will try to derail you, but with your eyes fixed on God and His promises, you can keep moving forward, knowing that victory is already yours. Now that you have been equipped with the tools to recognize the enemy's tactics, align your frequency with God's will, and step into your divine purpose, it is time for the final activation and commissioning. This is the moment where your preparation meets the power of God, and you are sent forth into your destiny with the full authority of heaven behind you. The shift has already occurred, and divine breakthroughs are now on the horizon. Heaven has already spoken over your life, and it is not a matter of if, but when the manifestation of your promises will come to pass. As you stand in this moment of activation, understand that you are not walking into the unknown alone. You are walking in the fullness of God's divine power, equipped with the frequency of heaven that will carry you through every trial, every challenge, and every confrontation that the enemy will throw your way. The power of the Holy Spirit now rests upon you, and with that power comes the authority to overcome every attack of the enemy. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. The enemy may try to disrupt your path, but his tactics will fail, because you are now walking with a divine covering that cannot be penetrated. The struggles that once felt overwhelming now pale in comparison to the authority you have in Christ. The commission you are receiving is not just an invitation to move forward. It is a divine command to take action, to rise up, and to take possession of what God has already declared as yours. This is your moment, chosen one, to walk in the new frequency that God has placed within you, to step into the authority and power that have been granted to you from the throne room of heaven. The time of waiting is over. The time for activation has arrived. As you go forward, remember that you carry the keys to the kingdom with you. Every door that was once closed is now opening in your favor. Every opportunity that seemed beyond your reach is now within your grasp. The divine assignment you have been given is not small. It is a legacy, a purpose that will impact the world around you in ways you cannot yet imagine. But with this divine commissioning comes a responsibility. You are called to take ownership of this new season, to walk boldly in the authority that has been entrusted to you, and to refuse to let fear, doubt, or distraction keep you from your destiny. It is time to declare your readiness to step into what God has prepared for you. It is time to say yes to the call, yes to the divine assignment, and yes to the new frequency of purpose that has been released over your life. This is the moment when you stop looking back and start looking forward, knowing that everything you need is already within you. Your readiness is not determined by your perfection, but by your willingness to embrace God's plan and step forward in faith. Heaven is waiting for you to take the next step. The breakthrough has been decreed, and it is already on its way. Your future is unfolding right now, and you have been prepared for such a time as this. As you affirm your readiness and take ownership of this divine assignment, know that you are not doing it alone. You are commissioned by God Himself, and with that commissioning comes the full backing of heaven. You are not just a passive participant in your destiny, you are an active, powerful force in God's divine plan. Walk in the fullness of that truth, chosen one, and step into your divine purpose with boldness, confidence, and faith. The shift has occurred. The breakthrough is now. Your assignment is clear. Go forward with the power and authority of heaven, knowing that you are fully equipped to overcome every challenge, break every chain, and fulfill every promise God has placed on your life. The kingdom of God is advancing, and you are an integral part of that advance. Stand tall, stand firm, and move forward with the confidence that heaven has already prepared the way. It's time to walk in the power of your divine commissioning.